Good morning, good morning, good morning. First and foremost, salutations to Manitoba. Gotta dedicate this with some vigor for my fellow Canadians, brothers and sisters in Manitoba, as I'm about to go to my second home, the mountains. So there's big wildfires here in one out of the 63, one over 63, one out of the 63, baby. 10 provinces, 50 states, 3 territories. That's how my mental works, in that 63, the North American Collectif 24/7 for the 50 states, 10 provinces, 3 territories, 10 provinces, 3 states, 50 states, 10 provinces, 3 territories, and one out of the 63. Now it's down Manitoba with the wildfires, and of course, a few of those 63 down south in the Midwest or Tennessee, around about Alabama, round about Louisiana, round about Florida, round about Virginia, North, South Dakota, and maybe all the way to the central. Also with the storms, and we got wildfires up here north, and we got storms. So dedicated to Manitoba, wildfires, and dedicated, of course, to my brothers and sisters in the 50 states who are fighting about those storms and reconstructing and building. It is 6:26 a.m. EST, local Montreal Hot Island time, and I'm happy, content, joyous because yesterday got a little bit of that cake, a little bit of that money. Gonna drop something here. That's what we're gonna get doing with that. That's what we're gonna get doing. So, drop some garbage there, and gotta salute the firefighters, butchers, bakers, nurses, doctors, truckers on the road now across the 63. And yesterday, I was happy, joyous, as I mentioned in my video, that I had some works, had some employment, and I might get called back to do some more work, I guess. If the satisfaction was, I was certainly satisfied with the salary. I think it's the biggest salary per hour that I made in the past 7 years. I don't think I ever made $30 an hour. As the king is comes shine a little bit, you see the right thing, the Pope, the sun. It's about to burst through those clouds, and here we are going east, and towards the sun now, because it's still sun rising. The sun is always rising and always setting. So as I said yesterday, I made $30 an hour, and I don't have to declare it because I made less than 200. I made 150 yesterday, 5 hours of work. So because I don't have to declare it due to because if I make more than 200, then I have to declare it, because otherwise it gets subtracted. But I can make up to 200 and still get government support, which of course I got during COVID and in the past years. And I had to pay some money back because at one point during COVID I worked for a few months and I had to pay a few $1,000s back. But, again, Asperger's, we Aspies, the problem in our community. We're not a big community. We're a small community. The problem in our community is that, of course, there's a very high unemployment rate. The unemployment rate is very high, and of course that is what it is. And it's about 60 to 70%, 60 to 70, and between 60 and 70%, and that's what it is, and that's where we gotta go, So it's something which we gotta get on that XYZ, and something which we have to be on the remissive side of things sometimes. Beautiful bushes there, here from my neighborhood, going to my other neighborhood, from my home here, the Dragon's Lair underground, going to my second home, the mountains. So always see a little bit of action, a little bit of that XYZ, and whatever the case may be. And that's how we gotta get doing with that, and doing with the love side of things, and doing with the appellations of the sun is shining. And that's how we gotta get doing now. And that's what I love to do, workout, train, exercise. And I couldn't help myself to do a little bit of geopolitics early in the morning because, that's my special interest. And because I have this neurological mental divergent condition known as Asperger's, those special interests preoccupy most of my daily routines and activities. Sometimes it's seemingly rigid rituals and routines, but I don't mind, of course, being flexible and having flexibility with that, and doing a lot of good loving, and in between some good rock and roll. So because of Asperger's, Aspies again, there's a very high unemployment in the Asperger's community, very high. It's 60%, 70, sometimes 80 different communities across North America, different states. Can you imagine 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 8? And usually a lot of Aspies get a lot of jobs, but it's keeping the jobs, because of certain things which are often misunderstood as being mentally ill, as a mental illness, which Asperger's is not. It's just our brains are different. So because of this brain difference, I wish I could fill this fridge up right with some good food, but maybe one day, It's a donation from an Aspie, as I'm financially struggling still, even though I made $150 yesterday. I gotta be grateful, thankful for this food place right here as I go, of course, drive it in. We're gonna drive it in parallel and go up all the way, and I have enough money, I guess, to get breakfast, although I gotta give $40 for filters from that 150 to my anonymous friend, and I broke the handle of the dryer, so I gotta get at least $10 for us to be able to do it, and this is a massage therapy session, and that's what we gotta get doing. This is a massage. I wish I could get a massage therapy. I wonder how much it costs, because I was craving it for years and years and years. As you see in the past, I discuss, in the past, I discuss really my craving for a massage therapy session. Sometimes I get on that moody side because of it. Here it says massage, 483-5586, 483-5586, 483-5586. I don't know how much it costs. I wouldn't spend the money that I made because of that, but hey, if you want to rock and roll, Montreal, Hawk Island, go to Friends with Benefits Only, It's Friends with Benefits Only, so is that Friends with Benefits Only from now on? Friends with Benefits Only, thanks for understanding. That's my rock and roll song, and pledge your legions, and somebody wearing that red, and give me a bit like red, that's what we got, and we gotta get that SSD, that's the Dragon Army, for SSD, pledge your legions, our family, and that's how I'm gonna rock and roll it till the end, So I survived COVID and survived being depressed, being suicidal. That's another problem in the Aspie communities. So Asperger's, due to this neurological mental divergent condition, we suffer again from a lot of unemployment, and we suffer a lot from depression, higher than average depression rates and suicidal rates. And again, Asperger's is this thing which we are, of course, which I suffer from, but it's not a mental illness. So it's because our brains are different, and so we see things from a higher perspective. See, now, as much as I have to check I was calculating my fellow citizen their safety to cross the street in concordance with the speed of the car and the velocity of the car. So in my mind, I did a little bit of mathematics, the distance and his speed and the car's speed. So basically, we have some mathematical inclinations sometimes, towards mathematics. So that's why Aspies have to be supported in those special interests. Mine is not mathematics, par contre, is of course geopolitics. Although I do love math, but of course, mine is geopolitics. Geopolitics, the study, the analysis of geopolitics thereof. So it's geopolitics 24/7, and I see somebody hitting that gym, good for you, early in the morning. It's not even 6, probably now, it's 6:36 now, I guess, but I love to see people working out, training, and it's something which I do, and I got my gym there at the mountain, so that's where we're heading now. The steps, crossing left and right, and switching a little bit on that side of things to get a little bit of those hips, so that's what we gotta get doing. And I always gotta get doing for the bakers, the butchers, the nurses, the doctors, the firefighters, plumbers, electricians, now truckers on the road, and of course the bus drivers as well. You always see we got some traffic, so people are going in about their coffee business, their business to go to work, and this is my work, but again, due to the Aspies is high, very high, among the highest among minorities, because we're a tiny small fraction of the population minorities. There's not a lot of Aspies in the world. There's not a lot of Aspies. Asperger's is very rare. It's less than 1 percentile, less than half of a percent. It's about 0.44%. So you can imagine that you're not going to find a lot of Aspies maybe in one neighborhood, or not even one here in this whole building complex. So it's not common. And our brains have these mutations. Asperger's brains, they're mutated, So these mutations, due to these mutational factors, which kind of make us think, and we see the world differently, and our brains are different. And thus, sometimes the social interactions can be really weird and awkward and kind of seemingly strange, the way we speak or interact with certain population, and we might breach personal space, we might get too close to a fellow citizen when we are in dialogue, so that's how we're gonna get doing. I'm gonna cross the street on the other side and gonna watch it for the car there, because I got the priority to get it 3, 2 and 1, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that, so that's just what it is. Another characteristics, because there's not symptoms, another characteristics, because they're not symptoms, it's something which of course we gotta take into account, is repetition of words. Sometimes we might repeat things 2-3 times. Sometimes we might say echolalia is a characteristic. So basically, of course, we're gonna say the same phrase, sentence, of course, that we're gonna repeat the same paragraph and sentence with somebody others in a very word per word, very, very verbatim. So somebody might say a verb or a phrase, and we might repeat the same sentence and phrase word for word as somebody else might say. So those are all things which are part of the characteristic of Asperger's, because it's not a mental illness, and I've been told and diagnosed, I guess, independently several times by several people, but I guess that's not something which I can be discussing in the past, because I wasn't accepting my aspiness, my this label stigma, kind of. There's a lot of work which has been done, especially in the 21st century, especially in the last decade, and especially in the 21st century, so in the past 20 years, I guess, more than in the 20th century. There was a lot of advancement, and of course the discovery and the recognition of these mutations in the brain. They're slight mutations, but those mutations can account for a lot of different things, because at the micro level of the brain, these mutations, compared when you see that 99.56% have the same kind of brain, the same brain matter, the same brain functionalities with the cerebellum and all how the brain is structured. Of course, you might account that these mutations are at the percentage level of what comprises the brain, the whole brain matter, and all the different parts of the brain, the left, right, and then the hippocampus and all the etc. I'm not going to go into neurological discussion, but basically that's the formulation. Even those small mutations, they account for this difference, this weirdness, which we can seem, of course, a little bit on the weird and awkward side, and that's why we have to be, wow, look at that big cranes, man, on the weird side. So these characteristics of Asperger's are, of course, something which are into us to express ourselves, to have these characteristics which can seem odd, weird, and strange, and again, unfortunately, high unemployment rates. Us Aspies, we really have to be told directly, directly, we really have to be told directly, what more direct manner. So sometimes we are direct and seem offensive on certain topics, and that's what we have to be understanding of, and we have to be mindful of that situational complex and that awareness, of the divergence, of the weirdness, and that's how we are, and that's how we proceed in life. And got a Coke now. See, past the cross, and that's how we go, and that's how we rock and roll. There, was waiting for that to pass, and wow, waiting for the light. So if you wonder sometimes, how old the light is, how the light functions, things of that nature, we might focus on certain objects and details, also certain details, that are not prone to XYZ factors of the world, So that's just how it is now, and that's just how we work and operate in the dimensions, of course, that we are operating about, to get it on the doing side of things. And we gotta give some gratitude, because I'm grateful today, so grateful. And I don't know, I made it. Today is May 29th, and I'm doing this meditative state, always 24/7 geopolitics. Even this morning I said I'm gonna leave at 6, so I said no news, no geopolitics analysis, no analyzing geopolitics. But I said, okay, just 5 minutes, and from 5 it went to 10, then to 15, then it went, of course, to half an hour, 44 minutes, and almost 45 minutes. So that's just the special interest, you know. That's for Aspies, it differs. Mine is geopolitics and also sports and fitness. Basically, dancing is my favorite sport, and as well with that is rock and roll. So that's my holy trinity, and that's 24/7, as you're gonna see now. I see the bird is chipping in the park. What you eating? What you eating? Somebody feeding ya? How count them up? They be black or white and green. You know that lean machines. Gotta get it for the do. Oh, wow, this is nice, man. Gonna smell a little bit of these flowers here. I don't know if they smell or not. No, it's not scented, but kind of nice, I guess, you know. But they don't scent. They're not scented, those ones. But they're nice. I like them. I don't know. They're white and pink. White and pink flowers. Kind of nice, you know. Kind of nice. Gotta go get it with that, and that's how we gotta get doing, man. And we gotta keep on going, you know. Sometimes you just gotta live, and the conditions which you're given, I guess, it's not something which can be medicated, you know. Asperger's is, you can't medicate Asperger's because those mutations of the brain are permanent. They're not temporary. They're permanent. They're not temporary. They're 100% permanent, temporary, not NOT, not temporary. So they're permanent. Those mutations of the brain cannot be reversed. Asperger's is, please, it's not something to be fixed. Just the other day I got something of discomfort and something which kind of caused me a little bit of anger in a way, or moodiness, I would say, because somebody said, somebody said that Asperger's is, of course, a mental illness. I wonder how much they sell for there, how much they ran for. So, of course, basically that Asperger's is a mental illness, you know. So that's what we gotta get doing with that. So basically, because somebody said to me in the conversation, said, oh yeah, in French, said, yeah, I know it's a maladie. Maladie is literally an illness. So that's what it is, that maladie basically is an illness. So basically, because they said, the person said, the citizen said that it's an illness, you know, so that's what they said. I said, no, please, it's not an illness. It's a neurological mental divergent condition which make me and we Aspies predisposed to these special interests, you know. So that's just how it is, you know. So that's just how it is with that, you know. So gotta get it on the do, and so we gotta get it for now, and we gotta get it for the left and right, and the burgers, flippers of those burgers, and it's just my brain, of course, is different, and that's just how it is, you know. So the problem is the very high depression and suicidal rate in the Aspie community, and the very high, way too high unemployment rate. Very high, too high. It's so elevated in the Aspie community, and it's sometimes between 60 and 80%. Can you imagine? 6 out of 10. That's 60 out of 100. 60%. And when the average, of course, unemployment is sometimes between 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8%. Not 80, 70, 60. And again, it comes from this misunderstanding. It's not something that one can catch, you know. It's not something that's transmissible. It's not something that you can... It's not something that one can catch, you know. You can't... It's not contagious, Asperger's. Either these mutations of the brain account for much of that behavior, much of those characteristics, which of course seem and be on the side of the things, which of course make us predisposed to those special interests, which are of course inside of us, inside the brain, of course. But we certainly have our weaknesses, and I am less able, mediocre, average, so at some things. Now when it comes to my special interest, and I take great pride in my independent geopolitical theoretical analysis, I could just discuss geopolitics 24/7. You know, I specialize in the Cold War, 20th century, and of course on a day-to-day basis. And I'm an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, also an artist, athlete, and philosopher, and mystic coupled with that, because I believe in reincarnations, you know. Sometimes I was born a woman, a man, a woman, a man so many times, and now I guess they flip-flopped and you got 50-50 on me, so androgynous pansexual artist and part of the LGBTQ community. But when it comes to geopolitics, and I discuss geopolitics, you need to sometimes leave your baggage at the door. Whatever you know you've been taught, whatever. Although if you have learned and know geopolitics, then maybe you can compensate and ask questions, and then we can have a further dialogue about geopolitics. I guess we can define geopolitics as the study, the international global world study of relations, interactions between nation states, populations between nation states, and civilizational complex and geopolitical regions. Of course, it comes from the Greek terminology, geos, from a geography, and politicus, from a polity meaning a political entity that's governing according to certain set rules of laws and regulations and traditions. So it stems from the word, from geopolitics, from the Greek word. So basically that's what it is. Geopolitics is that study, that analysis of those geopolitical, of those interactions. So it's at all levels. It could be at the binational. Well, usually it has to be between two. Binational, multinational, geo-regional, global, or otherwise, right? So it has to be at least, I guess, between two, because usually it has to be taken in the foreign into account. Please don't leave that there. Put it in the recycling, and you know, somebody might want to sit, you know, parent with a child, and just, you got recycling bins over there, just cross the street and you're gonna see. And that's why we got the public workers, or it doesn't go in the trash, it goes in the recycling. But don't leave it on the bench, you know. You might come a whole family with children, they want to sit, or elderly if they're tired, you know. In the public we have these added responsibilities, duties, and obligations. So just, we gotta be considerate of certain things, and that's how we got, and that's how we gotta get that rock and roll, man. And I worked with the elderly, CHSLDs, a few months, and that was a nice experience, I guess, you know. Still, somebody still loves the elderly still loves the elderly. This y'all built all this, you know, the North American Collective, which I'm a philosopher of, and somebody who has struggled, suffered, and lived with scars, and been depressed, been suicidal. But when I crossed Canada in 2017, you know, in 2017, before that I was, wow, what a beautiful flowers here. I like how they're cone shape, kind of cool. Very nice cone shape like that, you know. Nice. The cones, like, kind of cool. And this one's that pyramid. See, because of Asperger's, now I'm trying to figure out the surface area of this pyramid, the surface area. So I would have to know, of course, the base, the perimeter, the base, and of course to calculate the surface area. So it will be the base times the slant, right? The height of the slant. So how this in inches or centimeters, and I guess it would be in inches and centimeters, but I don't know it because I am estimating it. I'm gonna put an estimation on it. I can put an estimation on it, or the other ones. These are nice also. I really like yellow flowers, although red is my favorite color, but I kind of like these, how they're out, especially this one. Looks like a pyramid. I have triggers an ancient life in me. And these yellow flowers are so cute. Yellow flowers are so cute. I love them just to look. It's beautiful. This one's kind of cool also. Floralis. So I like the pyramid, triggers past lives, you know, because I believe in reincarnations, and I am a mystic, you know, who loves bright colors and who loves a little bit of nice flowers, especially those yellow ones and those nice ones. Hey, so beautiful, the colorness. And as I am also pretty, guess I'm pretty all dressed with pretty much colorful today. I like bright colors, red color and all that, but that's just a little bit of parallel. But seeing that pyramid, remember, because I remember past lives, incarnations. I'm a mystic. I was born in the United States 3 times. Twice as a man, served in the same United States Army 156 years apart. Once as a woman. I was born a woman once in the USA post 1776. I was born a woman here before 1776, and across from ancient Egypt, ancient Sumer, ancient Babylon, Rome, and across the world, and right here, Montreal, Hawk Island, in this life and in another life, my home here. And I have that mystic aspect. So back to Asperger's, just to finalize on Aspie's problem. The problem is that we have, of course, that we have this neurodivergence, you know, and this neurodivergence. Wow, these are gorgeous. Wow. Nice. Are pretty nice. Flowers, man. I love flowers, and that's it, that's all. So this neurodivergence, you know, is just neurodivergence, and makes me predisposed, you know, to those special interests, and those special interests preoccupy my whole life activity, my routines, and that's basically what I am. And what I do is an independent geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, you know, who's not perfect, far from it, and that's all we're gonna go doing with that. And back to Aspie's now. Aspie's, it's not a mental illness. And just like the other day, I was walking there somewhere, and when I said in maladie in French, it's not an illness, it's not a sickness, it's this neurological mental divergent condition. And our brains are different. It's not something you can medicate, something one can understand. Take the time to appreciate, like that book that, one of the greatest book I read on Asperger's is, of course, Appreciating Asperger's. You know? Appreciating Asperger's. Appreciating Asperger's. Appreciating Asperger's, you know. I love crows, crows. Appreciating Asperger's. Appreciating Asperger's, you know. So basically, fundamentally, the appreciation of Asperger's. Appreciating Asperger's syndrome, it was called. Appreciating Asperger's syndrome. And yes, the crows know my secrets. I love that BDSM switch. Hawk, you know. Hawks. Hawk. Hawks. Sun shining, and I gotta give a salutation to the public workers. Must be really hard to work in the public, to pick up the garbage, the recycling, you know, keeping the streets clean and our neighborhoods clean, and must be a hard work, you know. Think about it. Think about it. Must be hard, you know. And I gotta give them some salutations, you know. They're up early and keeping our streets clean, and we got public sanitation, which is important, you know. And not just public sanitation, but even today, compost is gonna come be picked up in my neighborhood. And I have worked on the compost in 2018. There's a cat alley there. You can go check cats. There's all cat theme there in Sherbrooke, NDG. Famous cat alley of NDG is right there, if you're so inclined. The famous cat alley of NDG. You got lots of some art there, so it's called the Cat Alley. It's like a famous spot if you're in Montreal. Check it out. NDG, Hawk Island, Montreal. Lots of famous, pretty little spots, and it's a big island, 2.5 million people. And here we got a food pantry, which is kind of cool because it's exactly what I need. Even though I made some money yesterday, I'm still gonna be grateful, but I'm just gonna take what I need, I guess. And I'm gonna leave something for others, and I'm gonna take this one. This one's best before May say even if it's past best before date, it's still good. So I'm gonna take this one. Oh, the bread, is the bread good? Oh, I really need bread. 4th of June, so bread from Quebec, Bleds Quebec, yeah. Bleds Quebec, yeah. Oh, Quebec weed. That means it's local. When I say local, usually I refer to North America. When I say local, I usually refer to, of course, and these acorn. I never had acorn noodles. Did I ever have these? I don't think I ever did. I'm gonna check the expiry date. Product of China. I gotta see an expiry date on them. Acorn noodles or a best before date. I'm curious if there is any. Best before, see the date printed on package. Made in China and package on package. I'm not sure I'm gonna see it. Maybe, eh? Oh, it says October 23, 2023, I'm assuming. You can't make that out, but yeah, it could still be good. It could still be good. 2023, I guess that's good. And these are mostly for the children, so these we're gonna leave for the children, eh? It's like puree for the kids. Kids puree. What are these? What are these? Big fava. Fava beans, and that's what it is with that. And I guess this could be acorn noodles. I guess you boil them and okay, best before 2023. Yeah, usually it's still good for like a year and a half. If I detect anything that's not good, I'm of course gonna not take them, and that's it, that's all. So I'm gonna take these and acorn noodles and gonna turn the head left and right here before I cross the street, you know, just to make prudence side and just to make it on the go. And that's what we gotta get doing, man. So, something which we gotta be doing now, and gotta be appreciating for those who made the donations, you know. If you made the donation, thank you, you know, we gotta get on that donation now, and that's what we're gonna get doing on the chip and chop and donations. And here I'm gonna bag it up here, just stop here because I guess it's where it's gonna happen. Bag everything up, and I'm gonna actually disinfect also because I don't know, you know, I really have no the hygiene, you know. So I'm gonna disinfect. I'm gonna disinfect them, the produce. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disinfect the produce with this made in Canada. It's a hand sanitizer, antiseptic, made in Canada. Antiseptic, and we gotta. It's an antiseptic hand sanitizer gel. Antiseptic hand sanitizer gel. Antiseptic hand sanitizer gel. So I'm gonna get that. It's cold. So I'm gonna disinfect all the products with that gel. Yes, crow. I know the crows knows my secret, and I guess my secrets I'm gonna discuss on the mountain because there might be some spies espionage here, you know. But if the crows know my secrets, then they also know yours. Yeah, I'm 50-50, androgynous, pansexual, love that BDSM switch, and 24/7, may I be avenged 11-fold, may I be avenged 11-fold, may I be avenged 11-fold. That's what we're gonna get doing with that. And we got these right here, and that's what we're gonna get doing, man, to get it on the top and get it on the go. And that's what we're gonna get doing now, you know. So it's putting it in the backpack, gonna get it on the go. This one I'm excited. Meatballs, Canadian, Canada as well. Canada, Quebec, and I guess the noodles are from China, but I don't think I ever had acorn starch noodles. So I think I'm gonna cook this right when I get back home. After my long 6-hour march there to the mountain and back, and that's it with that. That's how we gotta go, man. That's how we gotta get rock and roll, man. Look at the raincoat. Thank you, my anonymous friend, for the raincoat. If I make $1 million, gonna give half 50%, and that's when I'm gonna go drill it with that, and gonna get on the go. There we go. Everything's covered. Now it adds a little bit of weight, and I got those red gloves because I've been challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match ever since Donald Trump made the mistake to impose tariffs. Still got a bit on the bottom, not that much, but I still got one almost full at home. So this should last me 2 weeks, at least 3 weeks maybe. So I'm gonna put it back and gonna get drilling to the mountain, rock and roll it, you know. That's how we do with that, and that's how we're gonna get doing with the gratitude for the food and the bread, really the bread. Gonna make sandwiches and but the noodles as well, I'm happy for all. The noodles, the bread, the noodles, the bread, and the can of, it's kind of like a stew, I guess. So thank you, farmers, food producers of the North American Collective, farmers, food producers of the North American Collective. I got the red backpack. See, RED, red. Now it's gotta go, and now we're going all the way. Opa. Nothing gonna fall off of it, I don't think so. No, it looks okay. What's that in the back there? I think it's fine. All right, but there we go. Now we gotta get on the steps, get a little bit of march. Let's go. Dragon Army, pledge your allegiance, allegiance to our family, to finalize on Asperger's, you know, certain things when we are in the store, certain, because I'm an individual Aspie, so I have certain characteristics. I don't have 100%, but I have like 93%, 93%. So it varies with intensity and degrees of concentration, focus on different Aspie and to different Aspie, you know. But we're not a lot of people who have Asperger's in the world. But like I said, the unfortunate things is the high unemployment rate and the high depression and suicidal rate, of which myself have been. Wow, what a beauty. Oh, plus red cardinals, my favorite color. Red cardinals, they gotta do. I see you. Cute. Hey, that's so cute. Oh, there's a bug there. Couldn't see what it was, but see? Nature. It looks golden bug on the cardinal. Golden black on the red. That's what I said. Golden black on the red, that's what I said. With the flowers that be white. On the black and the red and the green, and you know we got some gold. What your name is? I guess I'm gotta go. You say bye-bye. Little creatures, you know, of the world, man. Little creatures, you know. Little creatures everywhere, man. Little creatures everywhere. Beautiful creature, eh? Quite buggy. Quite beautiful. I had a beautiful, to me at least, and I'm, again, an individual, part of a tiny fraction of the population of a minority, but I'm an individual Aspie. I cannot discuss for all Aspies. I don't represent the whole Aspie community, although we're not a lot. Our community is tiny, small fraction of the population of Montreal, of my neighborhood, of Quebec, of Canada, of the North American Collective, or of North America, and of the whole world, right? But unfortunately, there's a high unemployment rate. Unfortunately, there's a high unemployment rate. So this high unemployment rate and a high depression rate, and I lived both, eh? I was depressed, I was suicidal, and being that I was depressed and suicidal, that's what it was, and that's what we gotta get doing with that. And having lived that depression, that suicidalness, you know, before 2017, because what changed my whole life, I reference back always to that point in time for me when really my whole life turned around, when I crossed Canada coast to coast, coast to coast, coast to coast, coast to coast. I went, of course, to BC, British Columbia, that way west, BC, British Columbia to Vancouver, and then of course I went back from Vancouver. I went on the east coast, Halifax, Nova Scotia, on the east coast, Halifax, Nova Scotia, you know. So that coast to coast event, when I crossed Canada coast to coast, that made me, of course, change my whole life. Before that I was depressed and suicidal, and of course before that I was depressed, I was suicidal, and that changed my whole life, really. Coming out of that depression, you know. But it was due to me crossing Canada, coast to coast, ocean to ocean, and have written a document, and I have been continuing to call for the mass financing via public-private partnership, the initiative for the need for the mass financing of tourism across the 63, across the North American Collective, and this has been happening something with it for years and years and years, but I don't know what exactly was done, because this always triggers a past life memories when I pass by it, and you know, manifest a little bit of hieroglyphs, and here we are on the loving side of things here, you know, as we are. This was built, I think, in the 20s, was operational until, I think, the 80s or something like that. I gotta double check the information, but this was a theater, right? It had ancient Egyptian motifs, and as you can see, the goddess, goddess, goddess. And speaking of buildings, I will to build the forgotten goddess, goddess temple. I will to build the forgotten goddess, GODDSS temple, the forgotten goddess temple. And of course, I will to build that forgotten goddess temple in parallel also to the forgotten goddess temple. I will also to build the North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border, because that's where me and Donald Trump are gonna fight, and we're gonna inaugurate that Coliseum. It's just gonna be 11 times bigger than the Caesar Superdome, also known. We changed the name a few times, just like me, I changed my name, but the Caesar Superdome is in Louisiana, where my 49ers lost to the Ravens by 3 points, and one of my top 5 favorite Super Bowls of all time is known as the Harbaugh Bowl, aka Blackout Bowl, aka Bro Bowl. The Bro Bowl, aka Harbaugh Bowl, aka Blackout Bowl, is one of my top favorite Super Bowls. I'm just gonna cross on the other side because I think the sun is piercing the clouds, my king the Pope, so we're gonna march in the sun, and this is my Montreal Hawkeye. And so that's what it is with that. One of my favorite Super Bowls was played there. Several Super Bowls were played there, and of course that was one of my top favorites. My 49ers, although they lost by 3, they played a good game. And yesterday, remember, it was checking the information, of course, on that fellow citizen who wore the Super Bowl, this 54 shirt or 53 shirt, or the Super Bowl that occurred February 2020, where my 49ers lost again to 31-20. And of course it was Garoppolo, but they lost, and 31-20 they lost, and that's what they gotta lose with that. And they lost by 11 points, that one, so because of course we haven't won a Super Bowl in a while. We're empire, not nation. We're empire, not nation. We're empire, not nation. And that's how we got to get drilling with that. And that's how we got to do on the solution side of things. And that's how we got to formulate on the love side of things, you know. Here we are, and here we are on the go. And here we get on the doing side. And we got to get it for the bakers, the butchers, the nurses, the doctors, firefighters of the 63. And again, crossing Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean, that made me establish a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. You know, a strong esprit de corps with my fellow Canadians. And that's when I got out of being depressed, being suicidal, crossing Canada coast to coast, ocean to ocean. Before that, I was depressed, I was suicidal, and just crossing Canada coast to coast made me have a revelation, kind of an illumination. I said so many things to see, to do across the North American Collective, that I started working out, training, and exercising. And being that I got it on the working out, training, and exercising, and that's what it is with that. Morning. I just saw football, and I was just talking about football.
Oh yeah?
I was discussing, I don't know if you remember the Harbaugh Bowl.
Sure.
Yeah, 49ers losing by 3. Yeah, I was just discussing that, and again, my 49ers losing in 2020 by 11 points to Kansas City. No? Yeah. That's why I was smiling. I said, you're coming with the football, and I'm discussing football.
This is my son's football team.
But it's Greenfield Park.
No, this is Massachusetts.
Oh, Massachusetts.
Greenfield.
Greenfield, yeah. It's not the Green Bay Packers, but watch it. I think we should best wait here. because sometimes they come fast. Or you go your way if you want. Be safe. Bye bye. It's okay, you can pass, I guess, if he wants, but that's what we're gonna go doing with that. And that's what they got his son, I guess, in Massachusetts. They got Greenfield, and they playing a little bit of that football and a little bit of that red and a little bit of that white. Look at just white flower here. I'm just gonna wait, you know. I like to be prudent, and sometimes when I discuss with fellow citizens, it's a bit awkward, I guess. And aspects we gotta be told. If you don't want, you know, just let us know and say bye and have a nice day, and that's it. That's all, you know. That's basically how we rock and roll. I don't like violence. I like sports and fitness dancing, but I don't like violence, you know. Violence I don't like violence. I lived my own being attacked by surprise a few years ago, and I'm hyper vigilant, you know. I was attacked by surprise. I fell, I am hyper vigilant indeed. I was attacked in the Montreal metro a few years ago, fell, hit my head on the concrete and had a dislocated right arm, and I was bloodied up, and went to the Jewish General Hospital, and of course I went to the Jewish General Hospital, and of course they replaced my arm, and that's what it goes with that. And they had not replaced the whole arm, but of course they cracked it back, and that's what they put it back there to be. I was put on some meds. I was like kind of in a coma for a few days, and before that, I have a hard time remembering my life prior to me moving to that place, you know. So if I go back 7-8 years, it's fine. Then 9, it kind of gets a bit blurry. The 10 kind of gets a bit dark, and 11, there's more than 11. It's like a blackout, you know, for my memory, blackout. So basically, my life kind of re-begins when moving from down. I used to live in a moldy underground basement, moldy place, lots of green mold, lots of black mold, lots of yellow mold, and you know, like all type of like mold, very moldy. And of course it was underneath and in the basement, and of course that's how I got, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. So basically it was on the moldy side of things, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get doing, you know, for the moldy side. And it's gonna get out of the way of the kids, and that's how we gotta get doing, you know. So basically I moved from that place across the street here, watch prudently to cross, you know, because we got to get doing on that, and we got to cross the street safely. That's how we're going to get doing, you know. So it's something which we got to do, and something which we got to be prudent on the streets. Turn your heads even if it's a one way, because you never know, the brakes might malfunction. The citizen driver might press the accelerator instead of the brake, and you know you're on the road, so you got to rock and roll with the prudence. So that's what it is. But I have problems remembering my life prior to my life before. I have high school diploma and letters of recommendation and journals that I kept, and of course lots of writings and lots of receipts from the libraries. And if you see that, I guess if I go back my life, it's probably spent with one foot in the streets, one foot in the libraries, and in that small prison-like cell. It was like prison-like cell, moldy place, and that's what I got. And so I'm gonna stop a little bit because I don't want to interject, but anyways, we're gonna stretch, of course, the left and the right neck, and the neck a little bit to the left, to the right, and that's how we're gonna finesse on the go, and that's how we're gonna get. Wow, look at that beautiful truck! Isn't this cool? The combination of the colors is red, a bit orange, and a bit white, and a bit black and white, a bit of the good combo. So that's what I remember, moving from a moldy place, you know. And before that being attacked by surprise. And interesting that's a Wisconsin plate. Wisconsin. Hello, Wisconsin, what you doing? You're part of the 63, and today is for the 63, of course, for the Manitoba, for the 63, you know, part of the 63. So we got for Wisconsin, and that's how we got, and that's how we're gonna get doing with that, and that's how we gotta get doing on that rock and roll, and so we gotta get doing on the drill side of things, and it's something which, of course, we gotta be meditating for the appellation, and that's how we gotta also get a little bit of that sunshine and a little bit of the loving, you know, because it takes a little bit of that love with that. And I wonder if, of course, how much is the gas there? 159, considering that it was about 93 cents average gas price, of course. 93 average gas price. in February 2020. I can just calculate and do a little bit of calculation to get on the go with that, and that's what it is with that, and that's how we're gonna get doing. So basically, that's the fact that that's what it was. Is of course considering all the cost of living, the cost of life, which has tremendously increased, has tremendously increased, parallel to the stagnation of the salaries, which of course they have not increased in parallel, only 4.4%. Hey, there's a little bit of beautiful bush here. Hey, beautiful flowers. Gonna smell some? Yeah, quite cute. Hey, isn't this cute? I like it. Rock and roll. Hey, nice. Nice for the embellishment of the city. Of course, the embellishment of the city. Thank you, public workers. Hear the crows rolling, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. But I'm happy. I'm joyous. Big smile, big smile, big smile, because I lived through a lot. I have plenty of scars, and I thought several times this was my last chapter, especially between mid-February to mid-March, when I had COVID. COVID for me was like death, pestilence, and disease. COVID for me was like death, pestilence, and disease. Death, pestilence, and disease. And this is nice that that's available there. It's nice. We should have this in every corner of the but not every corner, but we should have places like that. And of course, other places, what I call red chambers, across the 63 in the big cities, small cities. Mass finance public sanitation is important, and mass finance fitness, and mass financing tourism. And I've written lots of philosophies and dictums and initiatives. Salute, rock and roll. A big truck, and sending some love, because later on today, it's gonna do on that go. So later on today, they're gonna pick up the compost. So I worked on the compost. I worked a few weeks, and that was a pleasure experience in 2018. And I'm gonna check out some more flowers here. I like the combination red and white, white and red, red and white, white and red. It's quite cute, white and red, red and white, and white and red, red and white. That's why we're gonna be alright. White and red, red and white, we're gonna be alright. White and red, white and red, white and red, red and white, we're gonna be alright. And that's how we gotta get doing with that, man. It's appreciating every day, because when I died of COVID, I say I died because in many ways I did die. I carpe diem it every day, I carpe diem it, meaning that I live to the fullest and every day, and I'm always open for business. I gotta be thankful for the opportunity given yesterday to make some money and work, because I like work. Arbeit, ich liebe Arbeit. J'aime le travail. Me gusta trabajo. The problem again is this Asperger's sometimes impedes. I lost a lot of friends, Over the years, I made so many friends in the LGBTQ community, and whatever the case may be, and that's something which we gotta be doing with that. And I lost a lot of friends, Making friends with benefits only from now on. I pledge your allegiance, and make friends with benefits only from now on. It's pledge your allegiance, and that's how we rock and roll, Oh, their flowers are different. See, they're pinkish. I wonder what they're called. They're kind of pink flowers, but kind of goes well together. Last year it was different. So every year it kind of changes. If you notice the pattern, I guess it's the seeds which we have and the different seeds which they plant in, I mean, I'm not a floralist. I'm not that big of connoisseur in it, but that's what we got to get doing with that, and that's what we got to get on the go, So that's what we got to go on to do, and that's what we got to get on the love side of things, and that's what we got to get for the butchers, for the bakers, for the nurses, for the doctors, firefighters, going to get that sun shining, and that's what we're going to get drilling, man. So it's something which we have to do. So having lived my own Cillian Pirate episode, live with scars on the body, and that's what we gotta get doing on the body and the inside, outside, and external, internal, and whatever the case may be. There we go, and that's what we gotta get doing, man. Internal, external, and that's something which we gotta be doing with that. Always grateful, thankful, electricity is bills paid, and that's what we got, and that's what we do here, Always doing for the doers and the butchers, the bakers, the cooks, the nurses, the electricians, the plumbers, the firefighters, the doctors, and the grocery store clerks, and all involved in the production, distribution of food, something which I gotta do, and always meditating, of course, in the geopolitics geopolitics of course, the public works and the public building. It's always geopolitics with yours truly, and I wonder how many of the things which are they gonna do to work are made in Canada, but it's quite laborious to get it on the good, and that is something which we have, you know. And we gotta do it with that, and that's what we're gonna do it with that, and that's what we're gonna do it with that, and that's how we're gonna do it with that, and we're gonna get it on the go. So it's something which we gotta get on that appellation, man, of the public workers, and gotta get it on the love, and yeah, always rock and roll. There's a real rock and roll. Yeah. Let's go get the hammer. Let's go get the bama. Let's go get the bama and go. Let's go get on the go. And the X and Y and go. For the left and right. Now, Tom. Moi.
Tu me salues quand je pense.
C'est bon, ça. Vous êtes bon en mathématiques. 7 x 7, c'est 49. X 7. X 7. 7 x 7. X 7 x 7. Multiplié par 7. C'est ça. Yeah. I had a little bit of a rock and roll, you know. C'est bon. Moi je prie à ceux qui l'ont crucifié. Moi je prie à ceux qui l'ont crucifié. Prie à Jésus. Que je crucifie mes continuing. There's gonna be noisy there, but I guess the noise starts later on. It's too early to get that noise, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and that's what we're gonna get that 44. So we're gonna get it on the go, and really need to get a little bit of that hydration. So we're gonna take a turn there, get a bit of that beautiful red. I get a little bit on the sweaty side. Always got some exercise. I guess already put in more marching steps than the generals of Canada this morning. Hey, generals of Canada, I'm gonna get them all combined today, every day. During 2020, when I died of COVID. Since I died of COVID, I really live it every day. You know, I really live it every day. Carpe diem it every day. You know, so I carpe diem it every day. Since I died of COVID. Since I died of COVID, I really live it every day as it was my last day. It was really like death, pestilence, and disease, you know. It was really like death, pestilence, and disease, like death, pestilence, and disease. It was really like, when I say it was like death, pestilence, and disease, put a spread on my enemies, please. Death, pestilence, and disease, spread it on my enemies, please. Death, pestilence, and disease, spread it on my enemies, please. I know it sounds like a rock and roll song, you know. Rock and roll, hardcore, death, trash, metal, which I can sing some of that as well, you know. Mostly sing for the butchers, for the bakers, for the nurses, for the doctors, for the firefighters, public workers. Changing some of those diapers in the daycares. Flipping some of those good old hamburgers, cheeseburgers. For the fast food, we know. For the donut pin steel toes, construction workers, those changing the aqueducts. Gotta give it so you know, gotta give it so you do. So you know up in the dew. Me and you, looking up in the sky. Gotta get the sun up to the rise. Sunlight into the rise, sunlight into the light. We gotta get it to the light. Gotta give it for tonight. Gotta give it for tonight. On the left and right and sight. You know that we gotta be. So you know in harmony for the left and right and be. On the seas. So you bees. Where the bees, there's trees. Where there's trees, there's bees. Where there's flowers, there's the bees. Where there's bees, there's honey. You know that I play the honey. Where there's bees, there's honey. You know that I gotta milk that honey. Where there's bees, there's honey. You know that I gotta milk that honey. So that's most of my rock and roll, but I can go do a little bit of hardcore. Give me some twerk, gonna go. Give me some love, and some hug. Gotta get up and salute, gotta get up into youth, So beautiful here. Wow, just gorgeous. Just gonna smell some. This refreshes. This is so refreshing here. I just love it. So nice. Quite a bush, white bush there. It's really nice. Really nice with that, and that's what we're gonna go doing, and that's what we're gonna go on that go, and we're gonna be waiting here because we gotta wait for the light. So it's gonna just touch on COVID again. So I had it in 2020, right at the beginning, between mid-February 2020 and March 2020, between mid-February 2020 and March 2020. So 5 years ago, celebrating 5 years since I survived COVID. I got triple vaxxed, and please maintain the protocols of the public hygiene as much as possible. The protocols of the public hygiene needs to be maintained. The protocols of the public hygiene needs to be maintained, and that's all we got to maintain, you know, for the protocols of the public hygiene. Something which we have to maintain, you know. The protocols of the public hygiene protocols, they have to be maintained. I encourage all to maintain them as much as they possibly can, and as much as they possibly do, and as much as they possibly, me and you and us, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and so we gotta get rock and rolling. But this is so beautiful here. Isn't this gorgeous? What? Just a bush of fluffy. It's a bit like snow, man. It's just lovely. Just refreshes me so much. And those white, I gotta go check those whites. White tulips. Some red would be nice. It would have been nice mixed red and white on both sides, but red and white and red on both sides, but they're nice. Can't complain, you know. Can't complain. Hey, beautiful. Hey, gorgeous. So we gotta get a lot of rock and roll with that, man. So we gotta get on that doers, bakers, butchers, nurses, firefighters, truckers, plumbers, and the electricians, you know. That's how we gotta stem it up, and so we're gonna do now, man. And hope you got some of those whites below as well. So yeah, I survived COVID. You know, COVID for me was really hardcore. I really thought I was gonna die, and when he lost the little glasses, I really thought I was gonna die. So since then I really live like it will be my last day. You know, like really like it will be my last day. You know, that's how I live since then. Since I survived COVID in 2020. So basically, carpe diem, of course, means seize the day in Latin. I don't know if the library is open here, but I spent many years before, one foot in the streets, one foot in the libraries. Oh, 10 o'clock. Oh yeah, way to go, because I don't even think it's, I think it's like 7:30 maybe, 7:30, something like that. Not sure, maybe something 7:30 about. That's what it basically is, and my senior citizens there is doing a bit of salutations to the senior citizens, LOVE. They built the collective, and wow, these are really gorgeous. These are really gorgeous. Kind of trying to smell. You know me on yellow flowers. Oh, they have a scent. Slight perfume, slight tinge of perfume. It's kind of almost rice-like, the edible rice. But I like them, you know. They're really nice. They're really nice. That's what it is, and that's how we gotta get doing with that. And how are you? Hey, is that Barry? He has a nice smile to me, and that's always nice to see him smile and get it on the go and get it on the new, and that's how I gotta get doing with that, and that's how we have to get on that light side of things, and we gotta get doing for that. And he's there on the go with the dog walking, and made me a little beautiful smile, big smile, and smile back, and that's what it is, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and gonna get on the go with that. And here we got a little bit of water, well, a little bit of water with that, and you can come relax here. It's a place where you can relax. A new park. Hey, gotta give some salutations, you know, to the public workers here. Gotta give some salutations to the public workers, and ha. Kind of cool. Oh, I love that moon, how it is. Gotta get that sun and the moon, you know. When I see a moon, I always think of me building, well, us together. Pledge your allegiance to our family. Wow. And so of course we gotta get it on the do, and we gotta get it on that, and that's what we gotta go doing with that. And they go on the rock and roll as I go for the space exploration. Here we go, sats. That's a satellite. So satellites, in a parallel life I built satellites, supercomputers and ICBM rockets, and of course build those satellites, supercomputers, ICBM rockets in the parallel life. But here I am, you know, in this life, I'm a geopolitical theoretical analyst and theorist, and that's how we're gonna get doing on that rock and roll with that. And so we're gonna get doing on the XYZ, and so we're gonna get doing on the love side of things, you know. So it's something which we gotta be here, you know. Just gonna go to the washroom and we'll be back. But in the parallel life, I'm also an Aspie. We'll be back. Actually, going to the washroom, you know. Yeah, I did wash my hands. Don't forget to wash your hands, please. Microbes, bacteria, germs when you go in the washroom, because I see a lot. I'm not gonna calculate the statistics, but way too many fellow citizens going to the washroom and not washing their hands. And if it's gender neutral, I go on that gender neutral if it's available, you know. Rock and roll 24/7, let's go. Public workers, man, gotta salute. Gotta salute the police, man, doing some of that good labor, and that's it is, man, something which I like here, what he done. I kind of like it. It's new. New. Just like that park was new, rebuilt. It was invested, mass investment here. But that's really cool. This is new. How they build that plateau there with the water. This is really beautiful. And the park there, the children's playground, is also new for this year. So good summer 2025, and this is new. With the rocks. If you check in past videos, nothing is there. There's no water. I crossed in the past videos that I filmed. I crossed there and there's nothing. Just a few months ago. Even a few weeks ago. Not so long ago this year. So, and last year of course, but now there's that water kind of, how it's dripping water, so it's kind of cool. So back to what I was saying, of course, me surviving COVID in 2020, survived COVID. COVID for me was hardcore. I thought I was gonna die, and I lived carpe diem since that day, carpe diem it every day. But we'll hope for tomorrow, because I believe my protocols initiatives bring something to the table as I go on these freestyle marching rock and roll, and that's how we roam about. And I believe they bring something very good to the table, at least for the North American Collective. It's kind of like to also. And I would love to do some volunteering, painting some benches here, but that is just something that I would love to do here, you know, painting some benches here and painting a little bit of that bench, you know, because they're kind of gray, but this is kind of cool. This is kind of nice. This is really beautiful also. I don't know if they have a scent or not. Slight scent. Again, grains type of scented, but it's really cool. Also refreshing, isn't it nice? I wonder the names. Now I'm more curious about the names. Of course, it's probably Floralis, Orientalis, Budalis, and originally some botanical Latin names. But of course, what's in a name is I changed my name, you know, during COVID, and even changed my name now, you know, as I am changing the name now, and that's how they gotta go some work with that arbeit, and they gotta go on that arbeit with the work, and sometimes we're there, most often we're there, that's miles and kilometers away, up the mountain, West Mount, you know, like West Mount proper, and that's what it is with the West Mount proper. And then we go to the Mount Royal, and I wish I could afford a massage therapy session now. Now I feel the soreness. I guess I'm gonna take a bath or relax when I come back. But I wonder how much it is there with the place, you know, which I had it on the go. So something which we have it on the place, you know. I wonder how much it costs. When I started filming, I wonder how much it is. That's how we're gonna go. Yeah, that's how we're gonna get doing with that. And so we're gonna get on that doers, man. Look at these beautiful tulips. Beautiful tulips, man. Here, gotta get on that beautiful tulips, man. From the goers. So this is just what we're gonna do, and gonna discuss a little bit of that love inside of things, and that's what it is on the love side of things, and flowery things, and beautiful flowers. Wow, really gorgeous. And it's just beautiful. It got a little bit of yellow in it, a little bit of yellow and white. I kind of like it how it is, the yellowish flavor flower, and give it a little bit of coolness to it. And these ones are gorgeous as well, you know, the little lions. I call them lion flowers, Leonis floralis. And then the color violetis. Beautiful. I just love them, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and that's how we have to be, and that's how we get on the concordium side of things, and that's how we have to be on the pallet, on the work, for the dock workers, the butchers, the bakers, the nurses, the farmers, electricians, plumbers, truckers on the road, nurses, daycare workers, those teachers, teaching some mathematics, and that's what it is with that, and a little bit of teaching of some math, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get on that rock and roll side of things, because we gotta in concordium, and we gotta get it now, and we always gotta be meditating on all the things which are happening now across the North American civilizational complex, because things are always happening. There's always 24/7 on the go, and that's how we gotta be meditate on the things which are occurring daily in life. Daily in life. That's all we gotta be thinking about that, and some things we just gotta be meditating about all the things that are happening now, in the North American Concordium and North American Civilizational Complex, and so we gotta do, that's what we gotta do, and so we gotta also meditate, because any minute, geopolitically, it could be World War III, any minute. It could be World War III any minute, so that's what we gotta get doing with that. And here they're gonna do some more labor and work, and of course I can intersect and interject and make a little bit of meditative parenthesis, and the meditation of the workers, the public workers, and those of course who are workers in the public. And of course my meditations for the DRT is we need to be a mass investment, and a mass, of course, gotta go for the love, and it's so beautiful here, flowers, Wow, look at that, that's just gorgeous, just so lovely, really nice, really nice. So of course public works and everything that's done in the public is something which we gotta do with that, and gotta be doing on the go, so it's something which we gotta be doing for that, and gotta get it on the go, to get doing and to get on the work side of things, and that's how we gotta get doing. Mad monkeys. Where are my Dragon Army mad monkeys? Where are my Dragon Army mad monkeys? All my Dragon Army are mad monkeys. Salut! Vous allez faire le pavement ou les aqueducs?
Piste cyclable.
Ok, la piste cyclable. So what they're gonna do is the bike path. The bike path here, they're gonna redo it, and they're gonna be redoing it, and it's a nice labor. Go public workers, go. They got it, they're doing. We got the reestablishment of the rock and roll, and that's how we gotta get doing with that, and we gotta get on that rock and roll, man. We gotta get that, man, done. So well done, man. It's gotta be doing, man, and I guess it's gonna be good for the youth, for the children, how they're gonna redo it. So it goes, it's a labor, man. So go, public workers, man. Gotta encourage them, and I don't know how much they make. I guess they make on the go. Chargez rien pour passer? Non, pas de frais à passer. Merci. So I said, you're not charging me to pass here. You're not charging me to pass here, and that's what it is with that, and that's how we gotta go, and so we gotta go, and that's how we gotta go, with that, and so there's a lot of work to be done here, We got a lot of work to be done, and we got Arbeit, man. It's travail, and Arbeit, and that's what we're gonna go doing, man, with the Arbeit, and that's what we're gonna go having with that, and we gotta get on the collective, man, for the 63, the North American complex, and it is a beautiful, man, kind of spicy. Aren't they gorgeous? For me, I guess I like them on the side of things, It's just something which I like, to get it on the do, and that's what it is with that. And let's see what this says. Well, this is Carl Sagan. So this planet is our only home. There's no place like this in the universe, and that's what we gotta go doing, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, So we gotta get it on the go, and we gotta get it on the XYZ, and gotta go by the side here, That's what we gotta get doing with that. See, we gotta get on the go with that, and gotta get doing on the go, So something which we gotta go. That's where we gotta go, you know. That's what we gotta get doing. I'm excited now doing a meditation of the costs. And of course here doing a meditation, some things have to be recycled and we gotta get it on the garbage, the collection, and that's what we gotta get doing on the collection. And so we gotta get doing. Anyways, just gonna wait a bit. It's a bit noisy, so we're gonna discuss it on the go. So they're now to do a meditation on the collective, and that's what we're gonna get doing with that, and that's what we're gonna get doing. So that's a nice truck, man. That's a nice truck. Thirsty again, I guess. Thirstiness is gonna keep on going in the sunshine, man. Thirsty, thirsty, thirsty. That's what we gotta be doing. We're doing my second home. We're gonna get on that go, and that's what we're gonna get doing, you know. So, a little bit of joyous strength today. Joyous strength. So I gotta give salutation out to the Manitoba, you know, to Manitoba. That's what we're gonna do doing, and that's what we're gonna go doing, you know. That's what we're gonna get doing with that, and that's what we're gonna go doing, you know. So basically doing a meditation on all the North American collective, of course, what they're doing with that, and that's what they're gonna go on the left, on the right, and that's what we're gonna go meditating how much there is to be doing with that, and that's what we're gonna go doing, man, for the meditation here. Imagine all the work that's being done now, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta meditate on all the things now. All the workers of the Publik collective, you know, it's all the workers of the Publik collective, and that's what we gotta get doing with that, and that's what we gotta be meditating, you know. All right, I feel good now. Well, I feel good since the beginning, but now I'm just gonna go a little bit into geopolitics, just focus on geopolitics, because of course I'm gonna do a little bit of introduction on the geopolitics of public works. So basically it's part of the geopolitical interest to have a best here in the North American collective, Quebec, Canada, United States, across the 63, as I salute the one out of 63, which was of course Manitoba today, by firefighters and those of course involved in the wildfires and those in the emergency response. Somebody giving them some good massage, you know, because something just blah 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 is not enough. Take some brains and some muscle. We got to use that philosophy in concordium with the application of the forces of the body being that it's a temple for pleasure and purpose. I'm gonna wait. The body being that it's a temple for pleasure and purpose. I always got to be meditating on what is happening across the North American collective, and primarily now is the emergency response in Manitoba, which is of primary concern. Of course, the response, of course, which is ongoing, to get it on the XYZ and to get it on the appellation and to get it now for everything that's transpiring and everything that's going on across the 63, the 10 provinces, 50 states, and 3 territories in concordium. Of course, to those emergency responses parallel to Manitoba in the United States, vis-a-vis the storms, which are kind of ongoing and continuing, you know. So I got to give some shout outs, some loving, some salutations to them, and always meditate on them, what they're doing with that and what they're collecting and what the work that they've been doing. So that's why I'm calling for the mass financing, of course, via Wall Street. Give them a massage therapy sessions, you know. Give them a massage therapy sessions, and that's what it is, man. Good massage therapy sessions for the body. Gonna give it on the XYZ, and that's what it XYZ for the loving, and so we gotta take care of the body, you know. That's what it is. And here we got some work, and the geopolitical events of today are of course happening as I have predicted. So basically I'm gonna be discussing how I predicted in 2019 an international conflagration. So in 2019, go back to 2019, I had predicted an international conflagration that's going to happen on the horizon. So that is, of course, I predicted an international conflagration back in 2019 in October, November. I predicted an international conflagration in October, November 2019. A World War III scenario, several levels of probabilities and of possibilities, and that's what it is with that, and probabilities and possibilities, and probabilities and possibilities, and that is going to be a nuclear war was 50-50, but that there's going to be biological warfare involved was a 2/3 probability. So 2/3 equates to a 66.6666 ad infinitum, right? Because the paradox of the 1/3 is that you add them up, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, it gives to 100. But when you have it by itself in percentages, it doesn't add up. Gotta give them a little bit of loving, you know. Go, public workers, go. Give them a massage therapy session. They use it and use it more than yours truly, so they need it more, you know, than me, you know, so that's what it is. And I love to see that kind of work, you know, because I know it's valuable. Sanitation, that's how calling on the BNS mean is mass finance the public workers. We need a public-private partnership. We need my DRT theory. Consequently, we need my DRT theory. There's no other way but incorporating my DRTT vis-a-vis the new 911 protocols for total security, total service, total defense, for total security, total service, total defense, for total security, total service, total defense across the 63, 10 provinces, 50 states, and 3 territories. For the 63 and across the 63. So that has to be perfectly understood as we lay out today the discussion about geopolitics, how the formulation and how my prediction consequently is happening in a parallel general overall manner, not detail by detail, but it's happening in concordance to what I had predicted back in 2019. So now I have to begin and say that first and foremost, as Quebecers, Canadians, this is something that our leaders have to be espousing, and something that our leaders have to espouse is that our main foremost interest as Quebecers, Canadians is to have the best, most possible, to the best fullest extent, the best cordial relations, economic, financial, commercial, military, economic, all otherwise for defense relations with the United States. So this is just like the pi symbol, you know, the pi symbol in mathematics. It's always concordium to the diameter and the circumference, 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 and that's what it is, the diameter and the circumference, you know. So this is always a constant, so it's always 3.1416, it's always 3.1416, 3.1416, and then it goes ad infinitum, 3.14 15, 3.14, 15, and he has numbers ad infinitum. But it doesn't change. It's always a constant, right? So that's just the mathematics behind the pi number. So in geopolitics, our main interest as Quebecers, Canadians, and this Uncle Connie, the king is absent, it's time for the Republic, all have to say yes. There's no maybe. There's no no. There's only yes. So there's no no to this, right? It's always yes. There's no no, there's no maybe, it's always a yes. It's always a yes. Well, I'm going to make this following geopolitical reality statement, right? Reality check on all geopolitical theoretical honest theorists and all brothers and sisters in the United States and brothers and sisters in Canada across the 63. Pledge your allegiance. Our main interest, geopolitics, is to have the best, most cordial economic, commercial, political relations with the United States. Vice versa, this is reciprocal. So this is always in reciprocity. This is always the same for the United States, to have the best, most cordial relations with us. So that is always something which we have to concord and say that it's a yes. This doesn't change. This is just like the pi mathematical symbol. This doesn't change, right? This is always the same. This is always the same. So this doesn't change, right? It's always a constant thing. So this doesn't change. This doesn't change. This is always the same mathematical relation. Just like the mathematical concordium, the geopolitical concordium is that, just like in mathematics, the pi number is always 3.14, 15, and then it continues 3.14, 16. So it is in geopolitics. In geopolitics, the constant pi number that applies in mathematics, this statement that I just made applies for the world of geopolitics. So our main political, economic, political, social, cultural, even military defense interest is to have the best, most cordial relations with my brothers and sisters in the United States. So this is always applicable. This is always applicable. This doesn't change, right? This doesn't change. This doesn't change geopolitically. It's always the same. It's a constant, just like the pi number. So it's a constant. It doesn't change. Versteest. It does not change. It's a constant. This has to be, you have to say yes to this. Our leaders, our politicians have to say yes. Regardless of the Trump administration, and have been them and will continue to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match ever since, of course, Donald Trump imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. Imposed tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel back in 2018, and I have been them and will continue to challenge Donald Trump since then. Since 2018, you know. That's why I'm saying to build the Forgotten Goddess Temple in the North American People's Imperial Coliseum on the Canadian-US border, where me and Donald Trump were going to fight in a boxing match. Let's build it. Make it 11 times bigger than the Caesars Superdome, used to be known as the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and before that it was the Louisiana Stadium, and that's what it is with that, and that's what they're gonna get doing, and so they're gonna get some food. Gonna go doing, man. Yeah, so basically that is always a yes. So it's always a constant. That doesn't change, right? Mathematically, just like the pi number always stays a constant, just the same applies with what I made as a geopolitical statement. So that's always a constant. That doesn't change. It's always yes to that statement. Geopolitically, our main interest, geopolitically, it is to have the best, most cordial relations, my brothers and sisters in the USA. That is the best interest. The best interest, our main interest, it's not that it's the best in terms of relatively in comparison to a qualitative state. It's just that it is our primary of most importance. Don't really necessarily meditate on that statement in a qualitative manner, right? In a qualitative manner. So it's yes. It's not qualitative, right? It's not qualitative necessarily. There is a certain level, but think of it as this principle. So again, our main principle, as it is for the United States, reciprocal as well. This geopolitically for us together, binational, is to have the best, most cordial, friendly relations, military, economic, commercial, financial, defense, and social, cultural with the United States. And that is vice versa for the United States, is to have the best, most cordial relations with us Canadians. There's no maybe or no to that statement. That is always yes, as the king is absent, and my way to fuse Canada and the United States best via my Trinity of theories. But it's fundamentally my dream. The dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom is fundamentally the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom is fundamentally the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom is fundamentally a public-private partnership called to all willingly loving for the 63 to establish the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, the Dragon Army, aka North American Integrated SSD, Security and Service and Defense Legion, integrated with all existing institutions and organizations, and of course via and with the Dancing Goddess Army, the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army, the DGA, the Dancing Goddess Army, the North American Integrated Dance League, of course, to be for the environmental education and action. It requires environmental education and action. So that is something which we have to be concordantly, intermittently to what we have to be doing and what we have to be achieving, and the things of the achievement, just like in geopolitics, I'm top, and now I got to discuss the DRT, that fusion theory, because I'm on the subject, and it's geopolitical one-on-one for the checkmate of the North American Collective for total security, total service, and total defense via the creation of those complementary covenant and cooperative institutions. And so here we are, where we are now in the 21st century, May or Thursday, so I gotta get back before 5. I gotta go back before 5 to get that. Hey, beautiful pink flowers. To get back. Hey, so nice. Isn't that beautiful? To get back. Wow, look at that. So gorgeous. Just pink. Wow, it's really nice. Just the whole plateau. I like it. Pink flowers. Beautiful. And of course, in Concordium, of course, to have the best relations, the United States is going to have to implement the DRT, the D, that, R, refusion, T theory. Is something which we have to implement. There's no way around it. Where we are now today, there's no way. But of course, we have to have the North American Collective, and we have to have the implementation of the aforementioned. And we gotta get doing on that, and we gotta get on that meditation, and we gotta get on that appellation, and we gotta do for that concordium, and we gotta do it for the love. And I saw some boxing moves there, so I always meditate as it's a Dragon versus Trump affair, and that's how we gotta get on the appellations of the things. And I just thought I saw a 49ers coach. How could it be? Could it be that that's the Niners coach? I don't think so, but it could be. Is that the Niners coach?